Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise as our guest of honor enters the venue? Thank you. You may be seated. Good afternoon. I am Kegni Musi. I am the Judge President of the Free State Division of the High Court, and I will be your Program Director for the proceedings this afternoon. Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, Judges President, Acting Judges President, and other members of the judiciary in attendance, the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Mr. Amos Masondo, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Msutu Muyepya, and fellow commissioners of the IEC, the Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Tolile George, the Secretaries of the National Assembly and the NCOP, Secretaries of Provincial Legislatures and officials of Parliament in attendance. The Chief Electoral Officer of the IEC, Mr. Sai Mamabolo, executives of the IEC and officials of the IEC present here today. The Secretary General of the Office of the Chief Justice, Ms. Meme Sojasengwe, and officials of the Office of the Chief Justice. I also acknowledge the presence of the former Acting Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Dichisa Sinodi, a man that hails from the lovely province of the Free State. All other invited guests and officials of the state in attendance today, members of the public present, and those following these proceedings virtually or via other electronic media. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor and a privilege for me to, on behalf of the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Chief Justice R.M.M. Zondo, and the judiciary as a whole, to welcome you all to the ceremonial handing over of the Electoral Commission of South Africa's list of members of the National Assembly and Provincial Legislatures. That handing over will occur presently when the IEC formally hands over the list to the Chief Justice, who in turn will hand the list to the Secretary of Parliament. No member of the judiciary will have the list, please. We would be remiss to begin this occasion without acknowledging the good work done by the Independent Electoral Commission in delivering yet another successful national and provincial election. It had another dimension which made it more complicated in that we had a third vote, which is the regional vote. To the Chairperson of the Commission, Mr. Msutu Muyepya, fellow commissioners and your team of officials, we raise our heads to you for a job well done. You continue to inspire public confidence in our democracy, and your diligence does not go unnoticed. You yet again gave the people of the Republic of South Africa a voice, and they spoke, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an established practice in this country that after the announcement by the IEC of the results of the national and provincial elections, the IEC hands over the list of members of the NA and the provincial legislatures to the Chief Justice, who then, as I said earlier, hands it over to the Secretary of Parliament in preparation for the first sitting of the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures that will occur in due course. Although this is not an elaborate ceremony. It is nonetheless a very important milestone in fulfilling the constitutional obligations towards the formation of a new parliament and administration of our country, based obviously on the will of the people as expressed in the ballot papers for the 7th Parliament of the Democratic Republic of South Africa. We therefore take pride as the judiciary in hosting all of you here to witness this momentous occasion. It presents the passing of the baton among the institutions, given the important responsibility to ensure that our democracy works in a manner envisaged in our Constitution. Our democracy works because it is a collaborative effort among its institutions and arms of state that play a unique but independent role in laying the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this ceremony sets the scene for the establishment of the 7th Democratic Parliament of the Democratic Republic of South Africa, as well as the election and installation into office of the President of this country. According to Section 48 of the Constitution, before members of the National Assembly begin to perform their functions in the Assembly, they must first be sworn in or affirm faithfulness to the Republic and obedience to the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this land. In terms of Section 51, subsection 1 of the Constitution, the first sitting of the National Assembly takes place at a time and a date determined by the Chief Justice, but it should occur not more than 14 days after the election results has been declared. Similarly, insofar as the provincial legislatures are concerned, Section 110, sub 1 of the Constitution provides that after an election, the first sitting of a provincial legislature must take place at a time and on a date determined by a judge designated by the Chief Justice, but no more than 14 days after the election results has been declared. It's for this reason that you see these gentlemen and ladies here. They are the judges designated by the Chief Justice. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to make sure that the list as compiled by the IEC will be handed over to the Chief Justice, and therefore say to the country that your will has been done. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, today we affirm that our democracy is alive and well, and that the various arms and organs of state continue to be firmly committed to fulfilling their constitutional mandates to build a united and democratic South Africa. Therefore, formally, on behalf of the judiciary, I once again invite you to the Constitutional Court. I do not know whether the program has been disseminated already, but the next item on the program would be some remarks by the chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Commissioner Msutu Muyepya. I call on you to address the nation. Thank you.
Program Director, thank you for this wonderful opportunity you have given to us. Let me get your permission to stand on the protocols that you have established and acknowledge them. I want to start through you, Chief Justice, Mr. Raymond Zondo. The justices present here, the guests that are here with us, honored guests that are here with us, members of the media, and everyone, fellow South Africans that are here with us today. Today, we officially present the final list of elected representatives for the National Assembly and the 9 provincial legislatures following the conclusion of the 2024 national and provincial elections. We do so in keeping with the established practice in South Africa that after the announcement of the results by the Electoral Commission, a list of the elected representatives must be handed to the Chief Justice, who in turn will process the matter with the Secretary of Parliament. This momentous occasion signifies the culmination of a robust and transparent electoral process, a process that has echoed a unified voice of our nation. Proverbially, the people have spoken. Chief Justice, our role as the Electoral Commission, as contemplated in the Constitution, is to ensure that South African voters have exercised their rights, and they choose leaders that will lead them for 5 years. We have carried out this responsibility, and today we say to you, we have indeed concluded that task. We have done so without fear, without favor, and without prejudice. The list that the Electoral Commission is presenting to you this afternoon comprises 174 women and 226 men. This means that 43.5% of the elected representatives are women. And thank you. And 56.5 are men. They range from 20 to 79 in age. That breakdown is as follows. 12 candidates are in the age cohort 20 to 29. 67 are 30 to 39. 110 are between 40 and 49. 110 again are 50 to 59. 90 are 60 to 69. And 11 are 70 and above. These representatives reflect the choices, the hopes, and aspirations of millions of citizens who exercised their democratic rights. In closing, let me express the Electoral Commission's deepest gratitude to everyone who played a crucial role in this electoral process, from the parties and independent candidates to the tireless efforts of election officials, party agents, observers, the state, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, the media, organized business, organized labor, and everyone that is living in this beautiful country. Their commitment to ensuring a fair and transparent election has truly been commendable. Chief Justice, I now present the final list of elected representatives for the National Assembly and the 9 provincial legislatures. Will you please join me as I do so? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May God bless our country.
Yeah, this is it. Thank you, Mr. Miepia, for the short remarks. It is indeed pleasing to note that more and more women are making it on the list, and achieving 43.5% of women representation in Parliament is a great achievement. So I think thanks must also go to the political parties for fielding so many women on their lists. The next item on our agenda is remarks by the Secretary of Parliament, Mr. Xolile George. Welcome, Mr. George.
Judge President Musi, the Program Director for this afternoon, our esteemed Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Justice Raymond Zondo, Judge Presidents of our judiciary, various divisions of the judiciary, the Chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Musutu Myepe, and other commissioners of the IEC and the CEO of IEC, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Amos Masondo, former Acting Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Lichisa Tsinodi, Secretary General of the Office of the Chief Justice, and Secretaries of the National Assembly, National Council of Provinces, and Secretaries of Provincial Legislatures, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you today deeply honored and with profound gratitude. This moment marks a significant milestone in our democratic journey, and it is only fitting that we recognize and appreciate the individuals and institutions that have made this possible. Allow me to express my sincere appreciation to Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Your steadfast leadership and unwavering commitment have ensured the swift and timely handover of the lists of designated National Assembly members. Your office has managed this delicate constitutional process with precision and integrity, arranging this significant occasion seamlessly. Your dedication to upholding the rule of law and ensuring the smooth transition of power is commendable. Thank you for your exemplary dedication and for steering this process with such diligence and respect for our democratic principles. I would also like to extend heartfelt congratulations to the Independent Electoral Commission. Conducting free and fair election is no small feat, and you have done so with unparalleled excellence. Your world-class systems have empowered millions of South Africans to express their democratic choices. It is through your tireless efforts that our citizens could vote with confidence, knowing their voices will be heard and their decisions respected. Your commitment to transparency, efficiency, and fairness have once again reinforced the integrity of our electoral process. I offer my deepest gratitude to the over 16 million voters who participated in these elections. Despite facing challenging weather conditions at times, you demonstrated remarkable patience and resilience. Your participation as the people Your participation in this highly contested and historic election, marking the 30th anniversary of our constitutional democracy, is a testament to your commitment to shaping the future of our nation. Your decisions have determined who will represent you in Parliament, and it is now our responsibility to ensure that the new Parliament carries your aspirations and hopes for a better future. At the end of the 6th parliamentary term, as you said, Chairperson of the IEC, a notable 45% of the National Assembly MPs were women in the last Parliament, and that was totaling about 181 female representatives. This strong presence of women was evident from the beginning of the term, when 179 women were sworn in as members of the National Assembly. Throughout this period, our Parliament consistently ranked within the top 10 of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, a body of all parliaments of the world, for world parliaments with the highest representation of women, underscoring our commitment to gender equality and inclusive governance. While the list that we are receiving today might still change at some stage, consistent with our laws and procedures, our initial assessment indicates that in the list, female representation experienced a slight decline, dropping from 45% in 2019 to approximately 43.5%, with a total of 174 elected members who are women, as the chairperson has already outlined. Despite this decrease, the National Assembly remains dedicated to advancing gender parity and continues to be a significant player on the global stage for its effort in promoting women representation in politics. It is also worth noting that this National Assembly boasts a significant representation of young people, with nearly 50% of its members falling within the 20 and 50 age cohort as outlined. This demographic shift is a positive development, aligning the Assembly more closely with the nation's population, where young people form the majority. Such a youthful composition is expected to bring fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and a dynamic approach to addressing the challenges and aspirations of our society, ensuring that the legislative body remains attuned to the needs and ambitions of younger generation. Now, as we move forward, Program Director, from this pivotal moment, it is essential to outline the administrative process that will follow this handover. Once the Chief Justice has determined the date of the first sitting of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, we will activate all necessary arrangements. This entails ensuring the elected members are received from various parts of our country, that they are onboarded efficiently, their details captured accurately, and they are adequately prepared for the first sittings. This comprehensive onboarding process includes orientation sessions to familiarize new members with parliamentary procedures, protocols, and their roles and responsibility. We have a well-coordinated plan in place to facilitate the smooth transition of new members into their parliamentary roles. This includes logistical arrangements to accommodate members traveling from distant regions, providing them with the necessary resources and support to hit the ground running. Our goal is to ensure that every member is equipped to contribute effectively from the outset, embodying the trust and mandate bestowed upon them by the electorate. In preparation for the first sittings, we have to ensure that all our systems are in place for the successful hosting of this critical session. This includes the establishment of robust voting infrastructure to facilitate the seamless execution of the election of the new presiding officers of Parliament, that being the Speaker and the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, as well as the procedures for election of the President-elect of the Republic. We have also taken measures to ensure the security, transparency, and integrity of these processes, adhering to the highest standards of parliamentary procedure. Newly elected members will be inducted and oriented throughout a structured process designed to equip them with the essential knowledge and skills required for their roles. This program typically includes briefing on parliamentary procedures, ethical guidelines, legislative responsibilities, and administrative processes. In addition, new MPs participated in training sessions focused on effective communication, lawmaking, and constituency management. And this comprehensive approach by Parliament ensures that new MPs are well equipped to fulfill their duties effectively and efficiently from the offset. In conclusion, for the first sitting of both houses, Parliament has made all necessary arrangements to ensure a smooth transition. The venue for this significant event, the Cape Town International Convention Center, as we all know, Parliament does not have a facility that could accommodate this event due to the fire incident. It's been secured, providing an ideal setting for onboarding the new members of Parliament. Detailed plans are in place to facilitate this process, ensuring that all logistical and admin aspects are handled seamlessly. Esteemed Chief Justice, I assure you and all South Africans that we are fully prepared to meet the challenges and responsibilities that lie ahead. Our commitment is to uphold the values of our democracy, to serve the people of South Africa with dedication, and to ensure that their electoral choices and voices are reflected in the Parliament for the next 5 years. Thank you once more for your trust and support. Together we will build a Parliament that truly represents the voices and choices of the people of South Africa, driving forward our collective aspirations for a prosperous and just future. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. In keeping with our values of transparency, integrity, and accountability of the electoral process, I now call upon the Chief Justice to rise, as well as you, Mr. George. Chief Justice, may I hold that? And yes, the rest. Over to you.
Well, let me talk first. The JP here wants to make sure that I don't talk. I can talk twice. Program Director, thank you very much, Judge President Musi. Where's your list? Yeah, okay. The protocol list, yeah. Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Mr. Zondo, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Soto Mwepe, and fellow commissioners of the IEC, judges president and other judges who might be present here, Secretary to Parliament, Mr. George, and secretaries of the National Assembly and the NCOP, CEO of the IEC, Mr. Mamabolo, and other officials of the IEC present, the SG of the Office of the Chief Justice, Ms. Meme Sejosengwe, and officials of the OCJ. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of, is it the former acting speaker or still acting speaker? Acting Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Tsinoli, all other invited guests and officials of the state in attendance today, members of the public present, and those following these proceedings virtually via the electronic mediums, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is not necessary to drag this important ceremony for too long with long speeches, but nevertheless it is important to point out that today the handing over of the lists by the chairperson of the IEC to the Chief Justice and the handover of the lists by the Chief Justice to the Secretary of Parliament marks an important milestone in our constitutional democracy. We started off with the elections on the 29th of May. Thereafter, the IEC had to announce the results, which they did on the 2nd of June. The next step was exactly what we are doing today, the handing over of the lists. Then it will be the Chief Justice 10 who will then have to announce the date for the first sitting of Parliament. At least now that the list is here, one knows who will be convened, who will be members of Parliament who will convene on the first day of the sitting. But it's important to also mention what else the judiciary has done to prepare for the next few weeks as the new administration is put together. In terms of the Constitution, the Chief Justice must make rules which will apply when the first sitting of Parliament takes place and the Speaker of Parliament is elected, the Deputy Speaker is elected, and the President is elected. Those rules will also apply to provincial legislatures. In terms of the Constitution, the Chief Justice presides over the election of the Speaker of Parliament, of the National Assembly, He also presides over the election of the president. He presides over the election of the chairperson of the NCOP. He administers the oath of affirmation to all members of Parliament, the National Assembly, and NCOP. But he also is given the task of presiding over the provincial legislatures and swearing in members of the provincial legislatures. But the Constitution gives him the power to designate other judges to do that rather than him or her doing all of that by himself. I'm very happy to announce that, one, the rules to which I've just referred have been published. I have made the rules. They have been published that will apply both to the national parliament as well as to the provincial legislatures. Two, I'm happy to also announce that I have designated all the judges presidents in the various provinces as the judges who will preside in the provincial legislatures when the speakers and the premiers are elected. So all of that is in place. So I thought that it's important that while the Secretary of Parliament was sharing with you how ready they are, we must tell you also how ready the judiciary is. Let me take this opportunity to also thank the IEC for being able to prepare this list so soon after the announcement of the results. I think that that's very important. And as I've said, now that that step has taken place, then the announcement of the date for the first sitting of Parliament will be the next step. That, as you know, will be announced by the Chief Justice, and I think it's going to happen pretty soon. I'm not going to say it's going to be this afternoon. I'm not going to say it's going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be pretty soon. So I, therefore, want to simply say the judiciary will play its role to make sure that our constitutional democracy runs as smoothly as it should. I know that not everybody agrees on certain issues relating to the elections. The judiciary will continue to play its role if there are any people who are aggrieved and approach the courts. But as things stand at the moment, the events that need to take place in order for our constitutional democracy to continue are going to continue, and the judiciary will play its role. I thought that I would just mention those. Otherwise, program director. Did you want to just confuse me? Program director, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Chief Justice, may I call upon you and Mr. George, firstly, to stand up, and so that you formally then hand over the list to the Secretary of Parliament.
Secretary, thank you very much.
May I ask you, Mr. Muyapia, and Mr. Zondo, just to join them for a photo session? I'm told that, yes. Okay.
We must show that we are happy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. I now call upon the presiding officer of Parliament, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Mr. Amos Zondo, to make a few remarks. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Greetings to everybody who's part of this important occasion. Program Director, Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Justice Raymond Zondo, Chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa, Mr. Msutu Mwepa, Secretaries of both the National Assembly and the NCOP, Kaso and Pindela, Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Kolde George, esteemed members of the judiciary and the IEC commissioners present, acting Speaker of the National Assembly, Chisa Sinodi, ladies and gentlemen. Program Director, let me start by expressing an appreciation for the opportunity to make some remarks on this occasion of the handing over of the lists of persons elected to the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures. It is the beauty of the Constitution, or in keeping with the provision of the Constitution, that I take part in this ceremony in my capacity as the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, given that members of the Council remain competent to function beyond elections up until immediately before the first sitting of the provincial legislatures. This is because permanent delegates to NCOP are appointed by the provincial legislatures. It is indeed remarkable that we undertake this task 3 decades since South Africa's first democratic elections in 1994. It is 3 decades since that first election in which South Africans of all races who were registered on a common voters roll could vote. I'm sure that you'll agree with me when I say that for our democracy, the year 2024 represents a moment of reflection, a moment of recalculation, and indeed recalibration. The outcome of 1994 elections saw the establishment of the first democratic parliament, constituted of the National Assembly and the Senate, which was later reconfigured as the National Council of Provinces. The first cohort of South Africa's freely elected representatives helped to craft the country's constitution, which was adopted and signed in 1996 and came into effect in 1997. Program Director, the birth of the Constitution paved the way for constitutional democracy. This means that the Constitution became the supreme law of the land, binding all organs of state and citizens. This development, Program Director, represented another break with the past when Parliament had the final say over the laws. The Constitution gives the people of the land the right to elect their representatives to Parliament, provincial legislatures, and municipal councils every 5 years. In turn, the Constitution vests in these legislative bodies the authority to represent the people. Essentially, our legislative institutions serve as critical instruments for advancing people's power and fast-tracking the transformation of our society. They also play an important role in the pursuit and realization of socio-economic outcomes. It should be said, Program Director, that since 1994, our Parliament has made great strides in laying the foundations for and consolidating the character of a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people. In doing so, it contributes to the realization of the aspirations of the people-centered government articulated in the Freedom Charter of 1955. The 2024 national and provincial elections has provided the electorate with an opportunity to elect their representatives to serve in the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures and to give them a fresh mandate. It is my hope that the persons elected to these institutions whose names we are officially receiving today will use this new mandate to help direct the trajectory of our society's development and to deepen the progressive realization of socio-economic rights enshrined in the constitutions. 3 decades since the first democratic elections and on the cusp of establishing the 7th administration, I wish to implore the next generation of public representatives in Parliament and provincial legislatures to serve all our people equitably without consideration for race, gender, religion, ethnic or social origin, or any other grounds of discrimination. With these few words, Program Director, I thank you for the opportunity to address this gathering. Allow me to applaud South Africans for exercising their rights to elect their representatives, and the IEC for once again delivering a credible election. I wish the Chief Justice well as he prepares to lead the judiciary in inaugurating the elected persons to the National Assembly and provincial legislatures, and thereafter for formally constituting the National Council of Provinces. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Zondo. Chief Justice, since we are hosting this occasion, I think I'm going to give you the second bite at the cherry. I'll call on you to make your second speech.
Thank you. Thank you, JP. Very often throughout the periods of 5 years between one general election and another, you will hear whether it's members of Parliament or members of the executive complain, for example, about the judiciary and saying that it's overreaching, it's usurping their powers, it's not staying in its lane. But you will also hear sometimes, not so often, judges also mention in their judgments and complaining when the legislature or the executive intrude on their lane. This time between a general election such as the one that we have just had and the inauguration of the president and the swearing in of the deputy president and the ministers and deputy ministers before they can begin to perform their duties is one of the perfect times to have a look at our model of the separation of powers. When the Constitutional Court dealt with the question in the certification case whether or not the separation of powers, which had been contemplated by the principles that guided the drafting of the Constitution, had been complied with in putting together or drafting our Constitution. One of the things that they did was to look at various models throughout the world of separation of powers. And this court concluded that there is no one model that applies throughout, and that we in South Africa have our own model that would continue to develop as the courts developed our jurisprudence. Now, between the general election and the inauguration of the president and the swearing in of the ministers, what you will see is that the Chief Justice, a member of the judiciary, the head of the judiciary, convenes the first sitting of Parliament. So if you are thinking about the separation of powers, you would say, what does a judge have to do with putting together a meeting of legislatures? But that's part of our model. More than that, it's the Chief Justice, a member of the judiciary, who will preside in Parliament over the election of the Speaker and the President. Again, if you think about the separation of powers, you would wonder why a member of the judiciary would go and sit and preside in the legislature. It's our model of the separation of powers. Of course, you all know that the executive, including the president, cannot begin to perform their functions in terms of our Constitution after they've been elected or appointed until they take an oath, and that oath is administered by either the Chief Justice or a judge designated by the Chief Justice. That, again, is a very important feature of our model of of separation of powers. There are others, but I think those who are very interested in our model of separation of powers during this time will find that they can pick up quite a number of features that show that although on the one hand there is a separation of powers and separate roles, on the other hand there are a number of areas where the one arm can't do without the other. That is what we are going to see over the next few weeks, and it's our constitutional democracy at work. I thought that I would just draw that to the attention of everybody as my closing remarks, and I take this opportunity to thank everybody for attending this function. Program Director, I hand over to you. I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. I think my time as Jack in the Box has also come to an end. So I think it was very important for you to make the point about our democracy and the checks and balances that we have and the cooperation between the different arms of the state. What remains for me to do is to thank each and every one of you for gracing this occasion with your presence and taking your time off your busy schedules to be here with us to watch democracy in action. I think it would be remiss of us if we do not thank the people of the Republic of South Africa for the manner in which they conducted themselves during the elections. There were no major incidences. Everything went smoothly. So I think we must give them a round of applause and a standing ovation. Thank you very much. The last item on the program is refreshments. I am told that refreshments will be served to my left there. There are members of the staff of the Office of the Chief Justice who would assist you with the refreshments part of it. Again, thank you very much. This signals the end of our program. Thanks again.